Hi there, Joy back again for more pumpkin carving. We've been at it for a while now today, so we've gotten quite a few done. If you'd like to see the rest of the pumpkins, you can look for them on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. Or you can actually go to the blog that I'm making. My blog is Adventures in Menopause. The address would be survivinglifeover40.com. And the blog post is all about pumpkin carving 101. It's pumpkin carving basics, things that anybody can do. Because this is something that's, there's a lot of different pumpkins, it's taking me a while to do them. So I've done a separate video for each pumpkin, and the links for all of the videos are going to be on the blog post. And this is the biggest pumpkin that I've bought, it's quite large. And it's also kind of the most intricate, probably, of the designs that I've done. So again, it's not anything phenomenal, it's not pumpkin art like you can see in some places. If you ever watch Ellen, every year she does a Halloween special and she has some amazing pumpkins and stuff. But this is supposed to be a haunted house, so I've got my little house in the middle, and basically in order to make the house stand out, I'm just going to cut lines around the house. He's going to be attached on the bottom. And I learned my lesson last time. I'm going to do the outside edge last. I'm going to do all the small middle pieces first. So it has a window in the top, and it has some doors and smaller windows. These are meant to be shutters. So what I've done, because I want shutters to look like, usually they're wood slats, so basically the shutters are just going to be these upright lines, and I'm hoping that that gives enough of an impression of shutters to make it work. The door is going to be in two parts with a solid piece up the center. Now this is cutting it close. That's about as small a line as you can do, because if you accidentally cut over in any of the corners, that whole piece can come out and screw up your design. So I have to be really careful with that. The lid is going to have kind of a jagged thing on it. And the only reason for that is I thought it might look kind of like the edges of clouds. I have a moon over here and I have a bat kind of a thing over here. Could be Dracula, who knows. And I wanted to kind of have something in the lid that would fit in the design, so that's why I did this. I'm hoping it looks like the edge of a cloud. There's an extra little side building, and there's a tree. I don't know if you can see that very well or not. But they're all basic, just simple shapes. The houses are squares, triangles, well, round-topped triangles, and rectangles. There's really nothing there that most people couldn't draw. And a tree really is just a series of jaggedy lines. So I think that it should be easy enough for anyone. Like I say, it is a very big pumpkin, so this is going to take me a few minutes probably to get this one done, so bear with me. I meant to empty it out before I started, but then I got sidetracked by the fact that partway through my last video, the camera shut off because it ran out of memory, and I had to go back and remake the second half of that video. So I got myself a little flustered doing that. So I haven't actually gotten around to cutting the lid off and emptying it out. So I'll do it as quick as I can. It might not be the best job in the world. I guess I'm going to have to use this guy. I normally use a big sharp knife to do the lid, but because I've made it curved, my sharp knife isn't going to give me a nice smooth curve. I'm going to use the large knife that came with my kit. As I've said before, it's got a large serrated side and a smaller serrated side. If you're doing a big area like I'm doing now, go with the bigger serrated side. And make sure that's pointing in the direction you're going, because that makes it a lot quicker. I may actually have to stand on tippy toes to do parts of this pumpkin, because it's pretty big. He's the biggest one I could find that was in decent shape. We got these, it was right before Thanksgiving that we went apple picking, so if you watch the video that I've got on the cinnamon bun apple pie that I did a while ago with my daughter, these are the pumpkins that she was muttering about the whole time we were on the video, because she couldn't believe that we went apple picking and came home with a bunch of pumpkins. So anyways, we did. We came home with 8 pumpkins. She and her boyfriend are going to carve 2 of them, and I've been carving the rest on these videos. quite large lid. But I'm just about all the way around. Hopefully. Oh, there, it came out really easily. Good. I'm just going to cut this off over here where I've got my bag full of mess. Normally I do all my carving, like I said before, right into the bag. But I've also been carving so much that my bag is starting to get a little overflowy. And I think if it's full sitting on the table, you won't be able to see the lower part of what I'm doing. So that is why I have taken it over there. So we have two options with our scrapey thing. This is the one that came in the kit. It's kind of good. It's got a serrated edge and it's got big scoops for the strings and the seeds. So it works fairly well. But I've also got this one that I've been using. And because it's nice and thin, it has a smooth edge and middle edge, I can kind of just scrape it down the side of the pumpkin and detach as much of the strings as I can, because the strings are what hold the seeds in place, and if your strings are attached, it's hard to get your seeds out. So the easiest way that I've found, I know I'm repeating myself in case someone didn't watch the other videos, the easiest way that I've found is to scrape the seed stringy thingies off the walls of the pumpkin. And if you can do that, when you turn it upside down, most of the icky gooeys and the seeds will all come out in one big pile. Because like I say, the seeds are attached to all the strings, so you can't really pull the seeds out without fighting with all the strings. I find it very annoying. It doesn't really take that long to do this, I don't think. I think it takes a lot longer to sit there with a spoon and try to pull out seeds that don't want to come out because they're attached. Okay, I'm going to dump out my first load and see how much is left. There's always some you have to go back in for because there's so much seed you can't tell what you scraped. But it's a start. I have enough seeds here for a small army of people. Which is kind of a shame because I don't like roasted pumpkin seeds. So it's a bit wasteful, I suppose. If you're one of those people who likes pumpkin seeds, sorry I'm wasting things. I'd send them to you if I could. I'm not sure if they travel well. Now what I haven't decided, in the last pumpkin of the owl that I just did, I was talking about how the pumpkin is not see-through mostly because of the thickness of it and the skin itself. So if you have a design and you want part of your design to kind of glow from behind, you can accomplish that without cutting holes by scraping off enough of the inside of the pumpkin that the light will shine through. You have to take the skin off. The skin is the main thing that stops the light from going through. But it's also the thickness. So what I did on that one, and I did a bit more after I got off the video just because it wasn't good enough for me, I thought, is like using this, I actually just kept scraping away at the inside of the pumpkin until the thickness of it was such that the light would go through. So now I have a part on my owl belly that glows a bit better than it did when I finished the video. Talking about this because I haven't decided yet whether I want to try and scrape away enough of the pumpkin in the front to make my house glow. Yes, it's going to have light coming through the windows and the doors and that kind of stuff. But it might be kind of cool if the whole house stood out from the background by glowing. And I might try to do that. I might decide after I get it cut if it doesn't stand out well enough. It's just the windows and doors and things. I might decide that I want to try and scrape away enough pumpkin for my house to glow. I'm still going to go to bed tonight and have dried out pumpkin all the way around. So, that's good enough for now. He's a big pumpkin, he's got a few more seeds in there, but I'm not going to spend my time fighting with him. I'm going to start carving, because that's the part I like. So, like I said, I want to start with the small bits, do the large bit after, so this piece isn't floating while I'm cutting. I think that'll work. But I'm going to start at the top and work my way down aside from that. So I'm going to get my little, I don't know what he is. I started out thinking he was going to be a bat, but in the end, the shape I made, while having wings and being kind of bat-like, also kind of reminds me of Dracula with his cape out. So I suppose I could tell people that's what it is if I want to. I'm using my nice thin blade that I've used pretty much in every pumpkin because it goes around corners really well, and that makes it easier to get into smaller shapes. It's kind of like having a, I guess it's a skill saw when they do the wood things. It works pretty much the same way, except it's hand powered. That all cut out. I'm going to have to probably scrape away some stuff to get it to show very well. Again, the main thing to make sure of when you're dealing with pumpkins is that the only thing they can see is the part that is outlined by the light. They can't see unless you do what I just mentioned. They can't see through the pumpkin, so any details you have on the front have to be something that will be accented by the light or lack of light in order for it to show up. Like I said, I do have some extra stringy still in there. So that's not showing up over the top. And I want to cut out his head. Easier once I got the wings out, so I'll just do that part there. So I have a little round head on top of these cape-like wingy thingies. I really don't know if you'll be able to see this or not. Hopefully it shows up. There he is. So that's one thing down. I'm going to poke some holes in some of these doors and windows and things. With the window up top, again, I'm going to cut it close. I'm going to see if I can get it to work. I'm going to leave this stripe and that stripe in place, and I'm going to cut out these bits. And I can do that because I have the itty bitty blade, so I'm hoping I can get close enough to the lines without cutting the lines to manage that, because I think that will make a nice look. And with these, I'm, like I said, just cutting out the stripes and hoping that the impression it gives is of shutters, wooden slatted shutters. I've got my two windows. I'm really abusing my poor corncob holder thing today. There we go. So that's most of the house features. And the ones that have a bit more space, I'm going to use my bigger tool for, because it's faster. I'm not worried about them being perfectly square, because it's a haunted house, you expect it to be a little beat up and abused. So there's one. I thought about making them all slanted and crooked and everything, but then I figured it's going to end up that way when I cut it anyways, so I didn't worry too much about it. So there's that. This one, like I say, I have to be a little careful to leave enough of a stripe between the two doors that it doesn't break off. I'm not ending up on my my lines perfectly because I was trying to avoid getting too close together. But again, if it's all crooked and lopsided, I don't care because it's a haunted house. I love doing designs for things that are supposed to be out of whack or wonky. It makes my life so much easier. Because I'm really not much of a perfectionist. I figure if I wanted it perfect, I'd go buy something that's machined. Buy a laser on a pattern, and it's all, everything is just hunky-dory and perfect. But if a person makes it, imperfections are just proof that someone took the time and made it themselves. Okay, so got windows and doors. So far I think those are going to be good. I haven't really decided what to do with the ground. I think if I decide to take this part down to the white, then the ground will show up fairly well by itself. I don't know, haven't really thought about it yet. I'm going back to my little blade to do these parts because they're quite thin. And basically, excuse me for my tummy rumbling, I haven't really gotten around eating anything today. Kind of going, like I said, the width of the blade. That's about as much as I can get away with, really. And still leave these lines in between. If my blade's too thick and I can't get in that little space there, I'd prefer to stick out this way and slice into this part, because obviously I need that thin piece to hold the center lines in. So I don't want to accidentally cut into it. I'd rather cut into the outside edge, because it won't hurt anything. Don't push down when you're doing something delicate like this. Don't push down as much when you're sawing. Just kind of move it back and forth on its own kind of thing. Let it do the work, because you're less likely to accidentally break off the piece in the middle. And that could still happen. I mean, I could be doing this and the back piece might just come right off. If it does, you have to change your tactic on what it's going to be. You have to make it look like it was supposed to be like that. Or you have to just assume that it's a haunted house and it's going to have broken things. Alright, so there's one shutter. I don't know how much it's going to show up. I won't know until we try with our light. I'm thinking now that if I was going to turn this thing white by scraping the background, I probably should have done that before I started this, because now it's going to be a little delicate for me to push on. So we'll see. Maybe I just won't go over the doors and windows. Maybe I'll scrape away the background part. Maybe I'll scrape away parts of the background part because that's where the paint's scraped off or something in my old haunted house. We'll see. I haven't really made up my mind. See, now that centerpiece is moving as I do this. It's making me a little nervous. I'm not sure how strong it is. So I'm going to scrape away at the outside edge instead, because I don't want to lose it. Okay, so 2 shutters. And be brave and try the window. Worst comes to worst, we just end up with one big open window. If it works, we end up with a church pane type window, which in my mind is kind of synonymous with haunted house. I don't know why. I guess because the old style houses had those kind of windows. So that's why I think of them when I think of haunted houses. panes done. So far, so good. There's some gooeys on the inside that I'm going to have to... But then again, I suppose if there's stringies hanging through the windows, it just looks like cobwebs. So I guess maybe in this case, it would be alright to have... Oops. I almost cut through that. It'd be alright to have stringy bits hanging in all your windows. Just kind of add to the look. As long as there's enough light shining through for it to look like a window. Which I think I've got. Alright. So, like I say, aside from the weird stringy things that are holding some of my bits in place, I have a 4-paned church type window and some shutters, which I hope all that shows up once I get the light in there. I hope. We shall see. So, I'm going to work on this window. I didn't bother doing that because I'm showing really only half of the window. I'm kind of assuming that since this part of the building is tucked in behind, there's part of it you can't see. So that's why it's just like a little half window. Just kind of wanted to add something of interest on the side. I didn't want to have to do 2 big trees. I suppose I could have made some, what do you call them, gravestones or something like that. I probably still could if I got really ambitious about it. Since this is pumpkin number 5 today, I might not be that ambitious about it. We'll see. So, door and a window for the side. So far, so good. On to the tree. Now, I'm bending my poor things. I have to do my moon, and I have tree branches, so I'm just going to kind of poke some starter holes here and there to make my life a little easier. Excuse me, I have a phone call. Hey, baby. Hello.
Mom?
Hi. Guess what?
No.
You're on
What?
Candid Camera.
Pardon?
You're on Candid Camera. Sort of. I'm in the middle of making a video.
Oh?
I'm videoing while we speak. Are you coming over to carve some pumpkins?
When we were coming to later, yeah.
Okay, cool. What do you need?
We have company right now.
What's that?
We have company right now.
Oh, cool. So
So
what?
I'm not gonna hang up.
Well, just whatever you say is happening on my video, because I didn't want to pause it because I don't know how to edit. I still haven't figured. You're gonna have to show me. You have to
I am
show
the
me.
daughter.
What's that?
I video. I am the daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. So you really
Sorry,
have to show me how to edit things so that I don't have to keep videoing through whatever I'm doing. Okay.
I'll figure it out. Call me when you're done.
All right. Love ya.
Love ya. Bye.
Bye. Okay, like I said, sorry to take that phone call while there, but you never know when your daughter calls whether it's something important. And since I haven't yet figured out how to edit things so I can join 2 bits of a video together, which is why I end up having to walk away and let the dog out or whatever. Because otherwise I end up with part 1, part 2, part 4, part 5, you know, it's just ongoing. Every time I have to pause for something, so instead I just don't bother pausing. And that way I can have one big long video where you have to see all sorts of stupid things that you probably shouldn't have to see. I apologize. Eventually I will get them to show me how to fix that. Alright, so we're on a roll now. And I have gotten a couple branches done. And I will try to cut my way over to it so I can show you what parts are done. There we go. Okay. So, we have, as you can see, tree branches. I didn't want to cut too close to my roof on the house, so I kind of cut this tree branch short. I'm going to have to be careful when I cut this part not to get too close to my tree branch. And I have to do my moon. I will do my round moon first to try and get it as round as I can, and then I will do the branches that are showing kind of past the moon. Because it's a silhouette, you're not going to be able to tell what's what. And that's why it kind of looks like the branches are coming out of the moon. They could be in front of the moon. Obviously they're not behind the moon. But in silhouette you wouldn't see where one starts and one stops. And with pumpkins you're kind of working on, I don't know whether it's really considered a silhouette or if it's considered a negative, since you're only seeing the parts that aren't there. It might be considered you're working on a negative. So, branches are frail. I'm trying to make them thick enough to show up, but thin enough not to look funny, which is a bit of a challenge. I also don't want to get too close to my lid, because when you start feeling your pumpkin move around as you saw, you know you're getting a little bit sketchy. It's a pretty strong thing, but it's also fairly heavy, so you have to make sure it has enough support to do what you want it to do. And that, I originally had this going all the way up, but I'm going to change my tack and go back down for just that reason. It's getting a little bit wobbly over here. Cutting out this tree is cutting out quite a lot of pumpkin. And I don't want to take any chances with it. I'm just going to add a little branch there just to make up for the fact that it's not as long as it used to be. What is that stuff that hangs off the trees in Florida and stuff like that? I can't think of the name of it. These little stringies might look kind of like that when I'm done. There's a name for it. We were in St. Augustine, I think it was, and we were going for a walk. We were being touristy, and there was one of the trees with that stuff hanging down. And I, of course, got right underneath it to have a nice photo op. Ooh, take a picture. It looks so pretty. It's got flowers and things hanging off it. Yay! And that's when Chris tells me that, as far as from what he heard, it's a very bad idea to go anywhere near it because it's full of germs and things like that from all the various bugs and crap that live on it. And I was like, oh, great, thanks for telling me now. Might as well take the picture in case I'm going to get sick from it. I might as well have the photo opportunity to show. This is why I'm sick. I'm stupid and I'm standing underneath this hanging pile of bugs. So we got the picture. I didn't get sick. Maybe that's a myth. I don't know. It did have lots of little bugs and stuff falling off the tree, but I think that happens with any tree. Maybe that tree's gotten a bad rap. I don't know. Okay. So here's my tree and my moon. So that was fairly simple. It's just wavy wiggly lines that branch off of each other. And now all I have to worry about is the hard part. So I want to very carefully do that. But I think maybe I have talked myself into, where did I put it? Trying to get rid of some of the house. Trying to get rid of some of the background of the house. And in order to do that, I have to get out my handy dandy zester. So I'm just going to score an edge so I have a stopping and starting point. And then I'm going to try to do this without pushing too hard on it. And that's why I'm doing it now. I've decided that since I want to do it, I don't want to push down on it once it's all free floating. Because once I cut all the way around here, this whole piece in the center isn't attached to the main body of the pumpkin. And that means it's going to be a little bit weaker. That's why I don't want to push on it like this afterwards. I want to do all this kind of stuff beforehand. My little window thing. I think I'm going to have to leave that one not really scraped. I don't want want to take a chance and wrecking it. And yes, this is making a big mess of my floor. I'm also not too worried about getting the whole thing white because it is a haunted house. At least that's what I'm saying it is. So if it has some scratchy, broken board type looking things, I'm not worried about it. I have to try and make sure that I'm getting it stopped before I get to my ground. Now, if I were able to scrape enough of this away, like I said, and enough from the background, back of the inside of the pumpkin, then in theory the light would shine through my entire house. And that would be kind of cool. I'd like to have a nice glowing house. However, I also don't want to break the whole thing off. As you see, in order to do this properly, you have to put a certain amount of force into it. You have to be a little aggressive in order to scrape all the skin off, because pumpkins are pretty thick. It's also at kind of a weird angle since I'm not looking over it. I don't really want to push on my... I'll try it. Let's see. Yeah. It's got a lot of it. I don't want to leave that part between the door. I don't want to mess with it. So, there's my house. You see, hopefully all my little windows and everything still show. I might have to clean out some of the holes, since they now have some peelings and skin and stuff in them. But otherwise, it looks a little different. Now it shows up. So I think I also want to do this part so that the entire house stands out from the rest. And I'm going to try and score the bottom, which I didn't do over here. I probably should have. Okay. So I could scrape over top of this and start cutting it out anyways, but I just want to have a nice clear line to follow. So I'm trying to avoid it. So here's what I've got. I've got kind of a scraped off area. And if I take some of the backing off the pumpkin, I might be able to get it to glow a little bit. I'm going to scrape it while it's still kind of thick and attached to things to see if I can get enough off of it to do that. I see things moving, so I'm a little nervous because my tree is wobbling all around. I'm going to go, oops, shoot, did I just break off my door? I don't think I want to go too much farther with it because I don't want to break anything off. As much as it would be nice to have my house glow, I also don't want to break my house off. So, these little thingies are sticking out all the holes. I think that's a pretty good start. Now we just have to cut the outline. Cut the outline. And just dump this out right quick. take a deep breath and aim for the part I was worried about the most. I don't know if you can see this, but when you're pushing on over here, it's moving around. That's what's making me nervous. Might as well just dive right in though. So I have to cut enough of a piece off, enough of a strip. The light shines through it, because we definitely want to see the outline of the house. There's no point in having a house if there's no outline. So I want lots of light to shine through. I think that should do it. And then I try to let the blade do all the work so I'm not pushing on the pumpkin. And I'm worried about my eaves trough part, the little part that sticks out. If this looks really wimpy afterwards, I might go ahead and put a toothpick here and there just to help it support itself. Toothpicks are wonderful for pumpkin carving. You can use them to hold things together and fix things if you accidentally cut them off. This is the part I'm not sure how it's going to work. Because I've got kind of a lot of little cutouts and corners in the same area. And sometimes that can spell disaster. So when I'm done, I might put a toothpick across from here to here, just to help keep it all stable. I might actually do it now, just because if I'm going to be pushing on it with the other bits, I don't want it to move. Okay, so my toothpick is going through here and through there, and I'm just going to cut off the part that's sticking out. And hopefully that helps keep this whole bit stable. Oh, I apologize, that's embarrassing. Stomach's grumbling away. I did actually have breakfast, now that I think about it. I did have breakfast. It just wasn't much of a breakfast. I read this thing the other day, it was all about giving you a whole menu for your entire week, so that you could save calories, less calories, lose weight, that kind of a thing. And I'm looking at it and it says, afternoon snack, 3 saltine crackers with peanut butter on them. And I went, I'm sorry, but if that's my afternoon snack, you can bet I'm going back later for something else. And it's probably going to have chocolate or cookies involved in it. Anyways, I'm on this topic because this morning for breakfast I was less than enthused since I wasn't feeling well. So I ended up having toast with peanut butter on it. And apparently my stomach says that's not quite enough. Alright, so our wall is out on the big part. And as you can see, it's moving around a bit. I'm not sure if I have any way to get a toothpick across that side. I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way towards the center because I don't want to be, I don't know, I think somehow it might work better. Towards the delicate part. I'd rather cut towards it than push on it while I'm cutting out. Oh, my line's getting a little wobbly. Like I said, it's a haunted house. It's not meant to be stable and square. However, it needs to be staying together well enough to survive the night. Alright, so parts of it are a little bit loose and wobbly, but I managed not to cut any bits off, so I'll count that as success. So here we have my haunted house with the tree and the moon. And we're going to give it a shot to see how it looks. I don't think I'd have enough strength in the pumpkin body to scrape more off the back. So I'm hoping I did enough to make it glow, but I probably didn't. It's probably not going to glow through the house, but it will glow through the windows. And that should still look cool. Alright, so, can you see that? We've got our little side house and our little glowing bat dude. And it does actually glow through a bit. I think it gives it enough of a glow to tell that it's a house. And there's our tree with our full moon. So this is probably the most painstaking, time-consuming pumpkin I've done so far. And the only thing I'd like to improve at the moment, because I don't want to mess with this anymore, is that I would like to make this part stand out more. I'm going to turn my lights back on. I like this part to stand out. I want this line to show so it looks kind of like clouds overhead. And so like I did on the other one, I'm going to try to peel away. That didn't work for me last time. I don't know why I'm trying it again. Peel away enough to let the light shine. I don't want to cut this edge, the back edge, any more than I have to, because it's what's fitting in the pumpkin. If I cut it, then the lid could fall right down through. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to angle the cut. I'm trying to cut away the top part without cutting away the bottom part. And I'm hoping that if I do that enough light will shine through it that, I should be using my curve thing, that it will show up. All I really want it to do is show up. It doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to have tons of light. It just needs to show up so that it looks like clouds. That's my aim. I'm going to keep trying it because I want to make sure I'm not losing enough stuff. So if you can see that, you can see light through it now, but it's still fitting fairly snug. Because this moves around when I put it on there, I'm going to have to be extra careful not to fix it. Now, I have done this on occasion where I've accidentally cut too much off and my lid wouldn't sit on anymore. And when that happens, you can fix that. It's a bit of a pain. But you can fix that. And what I did to fix it is I took some toothpicks and I stuck a few in here. And then when I put the lid on, they were resting on the toothpicks instead of resting on the edge of the pumpkin. So you can fix a lot of stuff if you happen to screw up. Because I know these things because I tend to, like I said, experiment. And they don't all work out. Sometimes the experiments don't work out. And that's when you learn how to improvise. Do things like holding stuff together with toothpicks and that. And once you realize that you can fix most problems on pumpkins with a toothpick, unless you accidentally break off the whole front, that would be a problem. But once you realize you can fix a lot of things with a toothpick, you're a little less worried about it. Alright, let's try this again. And see whether or not that lets me get some light around my clouds. I hope it does. Alright, can we see that now? Can we see cloud edges? Kind of, a little bit. I might work at that a bit more. Putter away at it. I know that the points are still touching, and I did that on purpose because I don't want it to fall in. So I might putter away at it. I might just decide that's good enough. I can see a little bit of light through here, which I don't know if it's showing up in the video or not, but I can see a little bit of kind of loopy, cloudy lights. Oh, I forgot to cut my wedge out. I should probably be resting it on the points. I'll wreck my points. But anyways, don't forget to cut the little edge out of your lid for the smoke. There. Okay. So one more pumpkin down. One more pumpkin to go. And that will be pumpkin day over. I might stop and eat something before the next pumpkin, so I'm not having my tummy grumble all the way through the video. But hopefully you come back and you join me for the last one, because it's going to be kind of cool. This one is the most work out of the bunch, I think. But I did kind of try something new and exciting on the last pumpkin. It's a little bit more intricate, but basic shapes. Everything I'm doing is more or less basic shapes, because anybody can draw, you know, a square with a triangle on top, a couple squares for windows, circles for eyes. Anybody can do that. And that's the whole point of this, is that anybody can carve a nice looking pumpkin without too much effort or too much artistic ability. Alright, so take care. I will see you again soon in the next video. Happy carving.